This is a once wealthy nation with enormous natural resources, and yet we have a humanitarian crisis. We've had 3 million refugees leave Venezuela. This is a catastrophe, a man-made catastrophe by the Maduro regime, and we're intent on helping the Venezuelan people correct it.
So there is the position from the Trump administration bolstering U.S. support for the opposition leader Juan Guaido, announcing $20 million in aid to the country in crisis. This amid massive protests against the current Maduro regime. Steve Harrigan live again, Caracas, Venezuela. And what is Guaido's next move, Steve?
Bill, he still has freedom of movement here inside Venezuela. Juan Guaido has not been arrested. He gave a speech this morning at a university in Caracas about how his team is going to make the transition to power. But it's really just talk at this point. He does not control the real levers of power here in Venezuela. They still belong to disputed President Nicolas Maduro. And some Venezuelan dissidents say the world might be underestimating the staying power of Maduro.
Diplomatic and economic sanctions didn't work in Cuba. There were not enough in Cuba to get Fidel Castro out of power. And it may result not to be enough to get Maduro out of power either.
Guaido is calling for a massive street protest on Saturday. It'll be a real test of his support. How many people come out, and do they make their way to the presidential palace? Bill?
Steve, what is your sense about how that government in power is controlling media coverage and reporting in that country?
Complete state control of the news on television. You see Nicolas Maduro over and over again meeting with the troops, shoring up his support among the military. As for Guaido, he has to rely on social media, and whenever he gives a speech, the internet mysteriously sometimes slows down or crashes, so there might be some censorship there. As far as foreign media, 6 journalists have been arrested, foreign journalists, over the past 48 hours from Chile, from Spain, and from France. The journalists from Spain were taken at gunpoint by security forces overnight from their hotel rooms. All 3 governments have protested the treatment of their journalists here. Bill?
Guaido's got a piece in the New York Times today. How real is the possibility of bloodshed, Steve?
I think it's very real. Hugo Chavez hung on for 13 years. The only thing that drove him out was cancer. Maduro has hung on for 7. And he doesn't want to go anywhere. He's preparing this country for war. He's warning of a U.S. invasion, and he's with the generals and the soldiers day in and day out. He publicly is not giving up, and it's going to take more than megaphones and signs to get him out of power, Bill.
Steve Harrigan, thanks. Caracas, Venezuela.